What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. Anyways, as far as the market's going, I just want to say that right now, we're trying to test this critical support right here. SPY has been technically trying to make higher lows, but see this white trend line? The white trend line is acting as our support right here. We have to see if SPY could hold this or not. So we have some news coming out. Tomorrow is going to be Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. This is very significant because at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's 1 hour before the stock market opens, okay, we have the PPI data report coming out. This is very similar to CPI. Now, as you guys know, CPI did cause a lot of volatility. We basically pumped and then dumped, and it's happened throughout the markets. Well, for PPI, it's going to be very similar. We're expecting an increase on a month-over-month basis, but year over year, we're basically expecting the same numbers. So we're going to see if we get something very similar or not. Now, some more news has come out involving President Trump. President Trump has announced there's a deal coming out with Indonesia. So he said that it's going to be a very, very important deal. And here are his exact quotes right over here. President Trump said that we have made a deal with Indonesia. I spoke with their really great president, very popular, very strong, smart. And he said that we made a deal. He says we have full access to Indonesia. Everything, as Indonesia is very strong on copper, but we have full access to everything. We will pay no tariffs, so they are giving us access into Indonesia, which we never had. That's probably the bigger part of the deal. That's what President Trump is saying. Then he said that the other part is that they are going to pay 19% and we are going to pay nothing. So President Trump claims that Indonesia is going to pay 19%, the US is going to pay nothing. I think it's a great deal for both parties. We will have full access to or into Indonesia, and we will have a couple of those deals that are going to be announced. He also said that India is working along that same line. We're going to have access to India. So he's saying this, and this is very optimistic, at least so far. And that could be very, very big news because, once again, Indonesia is very, very known for its copper and also because of like textiles and other factors like that. Could be very, very important. So we're going to see how things end up going. But for now, that's been a decent piece of news. I think the market's still holding support. So it's quite simple what's going to likely like pan out. So as far as this trend goes, SPY is trying to ride this trend line up, making higher highs and higher lows. But if we lose 622 and we fail at this white trend line, we could be dipping all the way down below 620. So please keep that in mind in case we do get some kind of rejection. But if we hold the white trend line, if we could hold this, there's a very, very good chance we could try to bounce against. You want to see if SPY is going to hold this support or not. It's going to be a very, very big test that's happening right now. So please keep that in mind for the way in which we're going to continue to move. So I like to be very, very unbiased about that. As of right now, we have not lost any critical support. I think we're doing an absolutely fantastic job at holding up. And I think things are looking very, very awesome so far. So please keep that in mind, especially as time goes on. For other factors out there, we're looking at the triple Q. The triple Q is also looking kind of weak here. As you guys can tell, there's a gap to fill all the way down to 556. If 557 fails, there's going to be a risk of us dipping to fill that gap. And we need to get back above 560 to bounce. So what's really dictating this is tech right now. Some tech stocks are trying to hold up. Other tech stocks are showing some weakness. And you have stocks like Nvda that are just like in the middle. Nvda, it basically gapped up and now it's barely holding critical support, and that's why I think it's very important that we kind of like pay attention to it, because Nvidia is known for causing a lot of volatility, and it's also a multi-trillion-dollar company that does dictate the price action of the QQQ to a large extent. So we'll see how that ends up going for us. So keep that in mind. It's going to be very, very key, at least for now. Also, one more thing about the QQQ, it's very, very highly correlated with SPY. So there's a very, very high correlation between SPY and the QQQ right now. And whenever SPY does, the QQQ does seem to like kind of follow the trend or vice versa. So keep that in mind. If they dump, they're going to likely dump together. If they push, they're likely going to be together in unison. That's because of how the algorithms kind of like dictate the way at which price action is taking place. So keep that in mind, guys. That's what we're seeing, at least so far. Another very, very interesting ticker is going to be the Russell 2000. So if we look at like the Russell, this has a very, very evident head and shoulders. So there's a left shoulder here, a head, and a right shoulder. We need to get back above 222 to bounce. And if we can't reclaim 222, the odds favor basically 214 or below. So be very careful with the Russell 2000. This is being greatly impacted by a lot of news coming out, especially the news involving small caps. So for now, we're still seeing a very, very similar trend that's being represented. For other tickers out there, we also happen to have ES. ES is range bound. We like to reject near 6,300, but we also like to get bought back up around 6,260. I could see this dipping to 6,280 or so, and we're going to see if it bounces off that or not, but be prepared for some downside. On NQ, we need to get back above 23,200. If not, we're looking for 23,000 flat and then 22,940. So please keep that in mind, especially as time goes on. That's going to be very key for how we end up moving. So that's going to be very, very important, at least nonetheless. For other tickers out there, we also happen to have NQ doing the same thing alongside Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be retesting 115,500. We need to hold support there, or else there's going to be some downside coming. So you want to be very careful with Bitcoin. So we'll see if it can hold support or not around that range. Watch that 115,500 area. I think we might dip a little bit to touch that, and then we'll see if we bounce or not. So please keep that in mind as time goes on. For others out there, we have Tesla. Tesla's kind of rejecting here. It's going to be holding 310. If that holds, we're bouncing. If not, we could be dipping a lot lower. So watch 310. It's looking kind of weak here. It might not hold, so there's going to be a risk of downside for 305 if that fails us. Nvidia is barely holding 169. We got to hold this, or else we could be dipping all the way down to fill this gap. So watch 169 on Nvidia to hold. On Apple, we're just consolidating. We're getting very, very tight right now in this wedge, so keep that in mind. For AMD, we had this tough resistance around 155. If that doesn't hold, we could be dipping back down to 153. For Coinbase, we're also kind of in the middle. We have 400 as resistance and 382 as our support. For Amazon, we look more bullish. We're favoring 228 as a potential target. So this is outperforming the market. Tech is very mixed, right? You have Nvidia that's kind of slowing down. You have Amazon pumping. You have Meta dipping, which could be favoring like 710. But Google is actually trying to push back up towards this 186 area. It's kind of flat right now. And Microsoft is a little choppy, but slowly pushing for 507. So please keep those levels in mind. Also, we're going to be watching to see, does the VIX just reject here and dump down to fill the gap, or does it start breaking out higher? Could be going either way, so make sure you're prepared just to be safe. But for now, the market's in a very, very critical place. So my general view is that, yes, the market has this big support here. We have to see if SPY could hold this, if we bounce or not. But keep in mind, for tomorrow, we have this very important PPI data report. So if you're holding anything overnight, whether it's like SPY calls or QQQ puts or whatever you're holding, be careful. The market may gap up or gap down big time depending on what this data looks like. When CPI came out, the market gapped up, then dumped. So will we see the same thing with PPI? We are expecting PPI month-over-month to be a little bit hot, but then everything else is expected to be the same as before, essentially. So keep that in mind. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.